Hello everyone, it's Donna Price again at Dallas Design Supply. I'm here today to show y'all some extra tips for making an organic looking Christmas theme this year. I've got several different things I'm going to be showing you today. Burlap and birch and moss and different things that are very organic in feel. And you can, sort of blend this in with what you've got. It's very popular right now in all the markets around the country, and it's the natural look is really in. So to begin with, I'm going to start off by showing you some different types of burlap that we carry. And this is actually a 9 or 10 inch piece of roll. It comes in 30-foot lengths. We also have it in a more open weave, and we also have it in a deco mesh that is sort of a paper, very open weave. I'm going to show you how to work with that. And it comes in all colors. This particular one that I'm working with today comes in all different colors. This particular one is 21 inches, and it's a polyester burlap. So there's so many different things out there on the market, and we have so many colors and things. I really believe we have the best supply around in the Dallas market area. The first thing I'm going to show you, we'll talk about some wreaths first. This particular wreath was made with burlap here that I've pinned on. I'm going to show you how to do all this. This is actually the deco mesh paper burlap, and I've made a bow out of it. And you can fray the edges or not fray the edges, whatever you would like. I've added some little pieces of birch that I've cut out to look like a little leaf. And of course my little deer that I carved out of styrofoam. And I've covered it with some of the bark sheets like these. And I'll show you those in a minute. And I just cut the horns and everything out of it. Sometimes I've put birch horns on it out of birch branches. So, just play around with it. You be creative. I'm here to inspire you today. The next one is a burlap ribbon that has 3 colors. I love this particular one. It's got green, natural, and red. And I've introduced a little bit of sheets of the burlap, the bark into it, and a few natural elements of the dried. Of course, I love little birds, and if you're not into birds, you need to get into birds this year. Also, I've made some burlap roses, and I'll show you 2 different ways to make burlap roses. And we'll get started on that in a little bit. The next one is another type of burlap rose. You can sort of maybe see the difference. This one's got a wire edge. This one is just made out of the burlap by itself. Here again, we've incorporated that same 3-color ribbon, and I've incorporated this into a bow, a very simple bow. Just remember, you don't want to do anything too formal looking with the burlap. You want to keep it sort of informal, very simple, but yet elegant. In this particular one, I've used the paper bark looking ribbon and also some twine. I think this is grapevine twine. And I've incorporated some of the little green reindeer moss. You can put whatever you want in it. If you like the Christmas balls, put the Christmas balls. If you like ornaments, you can put ornaments, whatever you would like to add into it, because burlap and the bark goes with just about anything. So we're going to start today, and I'm going to show you how to do a few things. For the wreaths, I think I'll start that first. And these are some different samples of how you can use the burlap and the different types of burlap. I believe you can probably do any of these with any of these products as long as you have the right sizes. We'll start off with these. I'm going to take these off. These are a little more tailored, and they're more like the green on the wreath that I showed you. And what you do, this is actually a 10-inch, 9-inch square, and I fold it into a triangle, and then I fold these down to make more of a tailored look. And I use, the newest thing I found is hairpins. I don't use the floral pins anymore in the burlap because it's hard to get through there. So if you'll take that And all I'm doing on this particular one is just layering it. It's so easy to do. Cut the squares, fold it in a triangle, and then fold it down until you have a little cup up here. The next little one that I'm going to do is made out of the same square. But what I've done is I've taken it, I folded it, and I folded it into another triangle, into fourths. And so what you do is you just take it, and it doesn't have to be exact. I didn't measure any of these, so you can use your own judgment, and you can use whatever size you like. This particular one is about 9.5 inches because that's how big the roll is. And what I've done is just taken off the edges of this and to make a little round, not quite round, but almost round little portion of the burlap. And all you do after that is you'll take your little pen, and if you want to use the floral pens, that's fine. I find it's easier to do with the T-pens, and you just really put it on there like so. Now I will tell you, before you use a styrofoam wreath, I usually wrap it with the burlap. Now if you have a piece of burlap like this or any of these, you will need to cut it into little strips. It's really not going to show because it's going to be under it, but you would wrap it all the way around and glue it or pin it on. That way you don't have to fill in the sides or the inside area here. But once you get these in, you just sort of fool with them and play with them. And I'm going to put this one on. I'm going to use the regular floral pen, and it's sort of a little bit harder to get in, but I want to show you how it would look. So you would have two different looks with the bigger pieces here. This is the more tailored, and this is the more informal type. Now another type you can do, and I'm going to keep on with this larger piece, is if you take, some of the burlap has little edges on them that I think they're serged is what they are. And I usually take that off, and it's easy to just fray the burlap. It's hard to do more than one or two little pieces at a time because it gets stuck, but it's so easy to do. You just go around all four sides, see how it does, and then I need to cut this off because this is where it's serged. You can probably pull it off, but I don't. It really makes a mess sometimes, so I just usually take it and pull it off. So when you've got this is going to give you a very natural, organic feel because burlap usually frays by itself anyway. If I can get this little one off. There. And you can fray it as much as you like. You can do a couple more if you want it really frayed. But then what I do is I don't completely make it into a triangle. I go a little bit off center so these look like a little mountain that you've made here. And then you fold it. And this is what you come up with. So this will be another form that you can do. Now this was made all with this 10.5 inch kind. This is 21 inches. You can cut it in half and do the same identical thing with it. These are some of the 21 inches, but it's a faux burlap that I've made into the smaller square. So I wanted you to see the difference of how big you can make it, how much you want the burlap to show. You can do beautiful arrangements inside, the greenery, the pine cones, whatever you would like to go with it. But these are the two differences of the tailored ones I like. The next one is actually this one, but I've taken this and I've cut it down the center until I got to, and these are like little 4.5 inch little squares. I want to find one that I've got done. And you can either do it this way and take that, and you do it the same identical way. And this is what you would, I would probably use the bigger one on this larger wreath, but it's a lot closer to the wreath and it's not going to make as big a statement as this one would. The last one I want to show you on here would be this more open weave. I believe they call it a paper burlap, but it is coated with something, and it has a very ragged edge. So if you want that real rustic feel with the bark and this would probably be the best thing to do. On this wreath also, I have put some little pieces of birch bark, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But always remember not to glue it onto the styrofoam. Always cover the styrofoam first, because it's very hard to get leaves or these to stay on the styrofoam without it burning the styrofoam. And if you're not comfortable and you don't think these are heavy, I mean, just in there good enough, put a little piece of hot glue on the end of your pen and then stick it in, and it will not be going anywhere. So I'm going to show you how to do these in a few minutes. But before I do that, I want to show you the little trees. Now this is just a little cone that's got a little pot attached. I think it's less than $5 here at Dallas Design. And all I've done is taken and cut this into half. This is the 9.5, and I've cut it in half, and I'm going to fold it into 2 triangles like I did the larger piece a while ago, and then round the edges until you have a little scallop look like this. And they don't have to be perfect. Nothing in this world is perfect. Anyway, then I take and cut about a 1/2 inch off the corner where they all meet. And before I sit it down, I'll go over here to my glue gun and put a little glue. And then I started at the bottom. I think it's best to start at the bottom and work your way up. And just sort of push that in, hold it just a few seconds. By putting the burlap on it first, it is so easy for it to stick to itself. It has what they call tooth, and it has a place for it to adhere to. So all I've done on this one is just done those same little things all over it. I think easily you could do 1 or 2 trees out of that one row. And I just think it's so cute. Let me show you again. We take a little, you can do a 4-inch. This is probably a 4-inch. Do it into a triangle and do it into another triangle. Cut it, the rough edges off into a rounded, almost like a cone. And then you're going to cut about a 1/2 inch off the bottom. Don't put it down or you'll lose it. Go back and and I usually put them different ways on the tree so to sort of have a different feel. So there you are with that one. Now then, I want to show you how to do a birch one. And I was going to get some wire. I've wrapped this with the Craig Bachman deco mesh burlap, but you could use any type of fabric, even if you had muslin or cotton or something. It just adheres to it so much better. I wanted to show you these are some of the bark pieces that we have. They're cut off of a real birch tree, and they're pretty thick. They come in all sizes. I think they start like at 3 something for $6 and go up to $7. But as you can see, they're beautiful, elegant pieces. I'm gonna move this out of the way a little bit. And what I have done is just taken a sheet of this. Where'd I put it? Right there. This is one of the sheets. This is how it will look. And I just sort of estimate what a regular little leaf would look like. We'll start here. You're looking at the back side of it, but I have no pattern. If you want to make a pattern and draw them all, draw it on the back side if you're going to do it, and then cut it. And then I usually cut a little piece of the bottom off. Now usually I will take this. Some people say you can wet this and it's more pliable. I have never done that yet, but I'm sure it probably is, just like grapevine and things. But I usually just work with it, and I make it fold up just a little bit, have a little bit of a curve. And I'm going to cut this a little bit more down here at the bottom, because the wider the bottom is, the less pieces that you can put on there. So, and then what you're going to do, you're going to start at the bottom again. You're going to put a little bit of glue. And you're just going to start right here at the bottom. And we're going to go to the next one. And you'll go all the way around in one circle. And you know, you don't have to use the cones. You can use balls, especially with the burlap. The cones work better to me for the trees. I've got another one here. And what we would do is go all the way on one layer, just layered it on top of each other. I forgot to bend this one, but I try to bend them before I put them on. And they stick really well, so I'm just going to hold it for just a second. And then I'll come back, pretend this is all the way around, and then I'll come back with another one, another layer, and work that in between these. So you will have a little tree forming. And you would work your way all the way up. And a lot of times I will put reindeer moss. Let me show you how cute that is. I love reindeer moss, and I love mood moss, and of course I love sheep moss. And those are really organic, natural things, even though I think this has been dyed a little bit, but I want to show you how cute it would look. You just take a little piece of it and stick it in. And you can put a little thing of glue in it, but it just adds so much. These are some little bitty red dried hydrangeas. You don't need very many. And you can add that to it also. If you want to make it a different color, you could do any color you like in your theme. But it just shows you what you can do. And you can leave them there. You can just tuck them in. You can use it for a different season even. I can see little eggs put on this at Easter time, or little hearts at Valentine. But this also works on this. I wouldn't put all these on it, and then I'd work a little bit of the green moss through it. When you get to the top, I usually put a little bird. So it's up to you. You can put a few little branches. You can string it with lights if you like. There's so many things you can do with it. But I wanted to touch base on those because I think these would make great centerpieces with some candles in between. Use a burlap runner. It's just a great thing to use for home decor. One other little thing, I can't miss showing you my little deer I made. These are actually little pieces of logs that we have here. I think you get 3 4-foot logs for less than $10. And what I've done is I've just cut some of the logs. This is probably one log for both of these. And I just love the feel of them. I've used just natural things. I've taken it and I've just hot glued it. Now if you want to, I guess you could screw the legs and things on. But I've cut the little ears out of the bark that I've used. And the other little pieces are just cut birch little logs. So you can do so many things. You can make trees out of the logs. There's just so much you can do. I want to show you also that this was actually just a little piece of bark that I wove around a little piece of paper, a little piece of paper cup. And I've wrapped it around, and I've used some bark wire. Now if you're not familiar with bark wire, it comes on like a 70-foot roll. It's really inexpensive, like $7. And you can use the bark wire to hold it on. Now, I have glued it, and then I've taken the bark wire around it. But to spruce it up a little bit, you can put just a little bit of moss. We've got some beautiful red berries that you could use. And you could put a candle in that. If you want a little bit more rustic look, I've taken a little piece of the burlap, put that down in there, and put a tall candle in there. So it's so many things. This would be cute with the trees if you wanted to do that. I also want to show you today, here's a little one I did out of the half of a paper cup. So it's just so much fun working with these products, and I just never get tired of it. Now I want to show you the different types of roses that I've worked into these wreaths. This is the one that I've used just a piece of burlap. It's cut about 3 inches wide. You can make it as long as you want. It depends on how big you want your rose to be. These particular ones, they're probably about 3 or 4 inches round, but you can make them any size you want. I start off with a piece, I would say this is probably about 2 feet long. And what I do is I start off by folding it, like so. And you're going to fold it down like this to make it a point at the top. And then you're going to start rolling it. And as you roll it, the main thing is to make sure that you hold on to the bottom. You don't want this top part jumping out. So what you start off doing is rolling it, and then you're going to roll the burlap, and it's going to give you that layered look. And just keep rolling it. If you don't want the raw edges, you can tuck it under. And usually about this point in the process, I'll take a wire. And I know you can do it different ways, but I always like to have a little security in mind. So I'll take a little wire and just run it through, all the way through all the layers of it, if I can get this wire through it. There it goes. And I'll pull it halfway through, and this will give me something to hold on to when I'm wanting to mount my rose. So now you've got this, and all we're going to do is keep rolling. I hope you can see this okay. And every time you make a roll, and if you don't like the little strings, just cut them off as you go. But when you roll it, it gives you a really pretty edge to it. I'm going to have to look at this a little bit better. And see, as you roll it, you pull it around. And you roll it, and you pull it around. And that's what makes the pretty petals on it. Can you see that? And you can keep going as long as if you have a bigger piece, you'll be able to do a bigger rose. And I'll show you on this piece. All right, you take it and you half it, and you'll fold this down, and then you'll start rolling. And the first couple of ones you do, you need to roll it very tight. And you'll need to start rolling this. This is a little wide for me, but as you can see, it makes a gorgeous rose if you just keep rolling it. And of course, this is going to be a much larger rose, so if you have large wreaths or on a garland even, would be beautiful to weave the burlap through. And there you go with this. You just keep going. You can make really a rose like this, probably about 9 or 10 inches wide, as long as you use the wide ribbon. Another type of rose I want to show you. Well, I have it. There it is. And this is a wired ribbon rose. This is the easiest. If you're a novice, you might want to try working with these first. You can make these as large or as small as you like them. This is what's actually on this wreath. The first ones I showed you are on this wreath. So this is how we'll begin. And I'm going to say do about 2 to 3 feet. It depends on how big you want the rose. So, and once you start playing with it, or once you do one, you can sort of figure that out. Now this has got wire on both sides of the ribbon. You can use the wider ribbon, which will give you a bigger rose. So what I usually do is find the wire on one side and pull it. And I usually pull it about halfway through. But before you do that, just sort of twist this where it won't go through anymore. And then we're going to go down to this side and we're going to find that same wire. And if you don't do this at this time, you'll be pulling this wire through and you won't have any wire on this end. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it like so. And we're going to leave this one like that. This is going to be our starting point. So what we're going to do is take it and we're going to fold it almost like we folded the other one. We're just going to fold this little point down because we don't want a point in the center. And then we're going to start rolling it very tight. And always try to keep this edge even with itself. You don't want it to push up and push out of your rose, then you won't have the center on your rose. And all you do is go around. Now I will tell you a trick that I do. After I make about 3 little loops, I'll take this wire and I will go through because I want to make sure that, let me find snips. I want to make sure that that center doesn't pop out. So if you wire it a little bit to this section, if I can get it through. You don't want it to come up through your rose. I'm going to stick it back through there. So what you've got now is a piece of wire holding that together. So a lot of people will glue it at this point, and if you want to do that, you're welcome to do that. But then I just keep going around, and you can go back in a little bit and fluff out your rose, but the key thing is to keep it gathered and to keep the bottom even. And then when you get there, I try to wire it through there one more time just to give a little stability. Okay, so now you have this conglomeration, and what you will do is I like to roll these ends out. It's easy to do, and it just makes it look more like a rose petal. Now if you're not comfortable with doing the wire, then you can take a little piece, especially on the ones like this. I've taken a little piece of burlap and I've glued it to the bottom, and all I've done is taken a little round piece of the burlap. I don't know what I did with it, but you can take a little bitty circle or a little bitty square and glue it to the bottom. That way it's not going anywhere. But then we have this beautiful red rose. We've got all different types and colors of the burlap ribbon. You can do this on any of the ribbon. The silk ribbon makes beautiful roses as long as you've got double wires on it, okay? I hope you try that because it's really fun to do that. One other project I want to show you. This is made out of the birch bark, and all I've done was do 2 little cones. I just actually wrapped them into a cone, and then I did another cone and I sat it up in there, and I just glued it together, and I used the bark wire for this. This would be great to give to your guests because you've got maybe 75 cents in the bark itself and probably 25 cents in the bark wire. But wouldn't this be cute to fill it with peppermints and give it to your guests when they come over for a holiday party? I just think that would be cute. Tie a little ribbon on it. I just love doing things like that for my guests. I want to show you how to do another wreath that I've got. And I'm sure if you're not as old as I am, you won't remember these little things. But back in school, we used to make these out of construction paper, and we called it a little paper chain. Well, I've taken the pieces of bark, and all I've done is cut them in various little sizes. And I've taken my little handy my clothespin. I put a little hot glue on it, and I put these on it where I don't burn my fingers. My fingers are pretty tough anyway, but anyway. And I do different sizes. I do the little shorter sizes, I do the bigger sizes, and you can do just any sizes. And then what you'll be doing after that is you'll take your hot glue gun, take a grapevine wreath. This is an inexpensive, like $3 grapevine wreath, but it's going to be very special when we get through. We just put a little hot glue and glue that sucker on there. And I like the variation of the different sizes. And it doesn't take very long for them to stick once you get them placed. And I just randomly put them. I don't want them to look like they're in any order. I just twist and turn, and some of these have been split, and I'm going to show you how to split the bark if you'd like to. And I definitely split the bark when I do my covering of the styrofoam. Actually, that's a dry foam that I've used. But anyway, once you finish with this, you're going to bring them out as far as you want. I like to bring mine out like this. And you might have to hold that for a few seconds. And you might have to use your little clothespin. Or you could leave it like that. But see, it's so easy to make a natural looking thing. Then when you get through, you can do a gorgeous red bow on it. Put some of the little moss between them. I like to show the grapevine wreath a little bit, but because of the natural texture of it. But I do want to put some other organic pieces in there. As you can see, I sat one night and did these while I was watching TV. I just cut them, and then I come up here, and it's nothing to glue them together. So that's a really cute project to do, especially with your kids. They can cut them out for you. Now I want to show you, when I did the reindeer, when you get the birch in, it's pretty thick, and it's hard to bend. So what I usually do, this is a piece that I have pulled off of this end right here actually. And it's just like one little layer of the birch. And I like it randomly. If you want to look real close at this, it's just little random pieces that I've glued onto the foam. And I used dry foam, and it was a very rough looking sculpture underneath it. It really didn't look like a deer. You sort of just shape it, and I have a problem with mine because I never put the nose long enough, but I think I did on this one. It's more time consuming than it is with the material. That's probably got $2 worth of birch in it and about three bricks of the foam, and it just makes a statement. Not everybody's going to have that, so take your time, get a little piece of a picture of a deer, a clip art head, and just try it out. All I did was use a little bitty knife in my kitchen and carve it out. But after you finish that, and it doesn't have to be perfect because this covers a lot of bad areas. But what I do is I just take this, glue it, and press it on. And I do it randomly because I don't like it to be looking like it's put on in a certain fashion. I want to show you how I split this. If you can see this is several layers. And this, sometimes it's time consuming, sometimes it just comes right off. But the top layer is always the prettiest, which would be this one. And that's the part that I use for my deer and things. But it will usually tear off in larger pieces. And if you've got nails, or if you want to try a little knife or X-Acto knife, here we go. See, it's easy to pull apart. And then there's another layer. And I have taken like 4 layers of this and worked with it. Some of these are in layers, but what you get is a light, natural, more of a natural wood with this, with just the little lines of the birch. So it's neat to do different things with that. The little leaves, I want to show you how I did that. I would take a piece, well, let me see here. We'll just use one of these. And all I've done was freehand. Don't look at my drawing, but I just sort of sketched out on the back side, and I came up with this. You can take a leaf out of your yard and trace it on the back of it and then cut it out. This is just, I don't even know whether this is a real leaf, but you can take it, put it on here, and then cut it out. And I usually, you can use scissors if it's a thinner piece of the bark, but if not, I use my little snips, and I would take it and I would put it on the back. And I don't know whether I have a pen. There's one. And just you can do a whole sheet of these at a time, and then just enjoy cutting them. I just love doing this. And I'll tell you another way I will use the leaves is I will take them, and once I get them cut, I'll put a little twine on the end of it and another little leaf on the other end, and you can put it around a hurricane globe to give that little bit of a effect of the natural look. Put a little bit of burlap on a little bow with it. But all you do is just cut it out. Like I said, I use it from the back forward. And don't try to make it perfect. I really, a lot of people that's in my classes and stuff, oh, well, it's not perfect. Well, it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to have some character to it and look like it's sort of rough. This one's got a knot right in the center of the leaf. And you know what? It just adds more character to it to me. I'm going to be doing a demonstration this Saturday, which is November the 3rd. If you would like to come and see me do a few of these things in person. And also, when you get this little leaf, this is what I've used for these. It's just a little leaf. If you want to, I found a little trick when I'm doing the one that ties around the little hurricane. I will take a white, the whiteout markers that you use for paper, the pen form, and I will draw a little vein in it and then draw a couple of other little veins. I tried it with the darker. It just showed up too much, and the little bit of white looks great with the birch. So I wanted to show you that. I also wanted to show you some other natural little things. These are some little pots that we have, and I believe they're like $3 or $4. I'm not sure exactly. But all I've taken is some little bitty pine cones and some little bitty bark wire. And for $5, that is darling. And you can put a little poinsettia plant in that. I also want to show you some of the little things that we have that we've added to the moss and the natural things. These are some little antlers, and they come in packets of 4. Of course, I'm not going to be able to cut it now. There you go. And they are so cute hanging down. They're made out of resin, but they look so cute just hanging out of the bow or something. You could put them anywhere. So I wanted to show you that. And one more little thing is this type of of the mesh. I call it window pane weave because it does look like little window panes. But this particular one is by Deco Mesh also. But the good thing about this is it's completely wired. You can twist it and turn it and do whatever. You can make gorgeous bows out of it. So if you want to do that, these pretty large bows, you can just make a gorgeous bow out of that. So I wanted to show you that. And some other little things. This is a little fall wreath that I wanted to show you. And I've taken a bird nest and I've added some of the moss on it. And I've taken some of the vine. I think this is honeysuckle vine. And I've added that to the grapevine wreath. So you can, and I've also added a little bit of birch and a little bit of birch, not birch, some burlap down here at the bottom. And it just adds that, you don't need a lot of the burlap, you just need a little touch of it. Also, I wanted to show you these little ornaments that are made out of one container. You get 8 of these little containers. They're nailed together and I've pulled them apart and used just some little dried things, but they're made out of the birch bark. And I've added a little hanger with the bark wire, and I've added just a few little dried flowers into it. This would be a great little gift to give to your guests when they're leaving also. They could use it for a little door hanger, a doorknob hanger, or they could put it on a package, they could put it on the tree. So I hope I've helped you today bring a little bit of the organics into your home. And we'll be back with some other projects for you to try later on. This is Donna Price working at Dallas Design. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.